if I was a fisherman to come out here, would I expect to catch?
I'd say mostly walleye.
Okay.
Walleye are really strong out here. We have a couple times a year some rather large walleye professional fishing tournaments out here.
Hello, I'm Mayor Ron Rukowski, and welcome to Village Showcase. It's a warm and beautiful day to be out here on the water at Cherry Creek Reservoir. A playground right in the backyard of Greenwood Village, this 880-acre body of water within the Cherry Creek State Park offers an abundance of water activities for all ages. Visitors can enjoy boating, fishing, jet skiing, sailboarding, and even swimming. But for people to enjoy these waters, the water quality needs to be at appropriate standards. Let's take a boat ride with Captain Jim to learn about the water quality at Cherry Creek Reservoir and the ongoing efforts to keep these recreational waters safe and clean. Have you ever visited a lake or stream where the water is unsightly? It may come with a bad smell, increased algae, and you can see a lifeless fish or two floating in the water. You may think nothing of it and carry on to enjoy one of Mother Nature's creations. However, what may appear as normal is not, and is making a devastating impact on the environment right before your eyes.
The bad smell is often linked to organic compounds that algae produce and bacteria that live in the water. They produce geosmin and MMB, which is an organic compound that creates the smell of lakes and reservoirs that we have.
Algae growth is a natural occurrence. The true growth requires a combination of warm water, CO2, and nutrients are the primary ones like phosphorus and nitrogen. When you have those conditions, you can get a bloom, is what they call it, which is a rapid growth of algae. And what it does, in many cases, it creates a green scum on the surface. And whereas it can be beneficial to fishing to have algal growth, it kind of works in the opposite direction for the other beneficial uses.
We've had 2 documented fish kills in the reservoir, one back in 2000 and one in 2012. And both of them were linked to increased algae growth in the reservoir. When the algae grow and they die, bacteria start decomposing the algae, and the bacteria really consume the oxygen in the water and decrease the amount of oxygen for fish. It's all part of the natural process for really this type of reservoir. This reservoir is a warm water reservoir that's more characteristic of a plains reservoir in Colorado or Kansas versus a cold water reservoir that we may see along the foothills or even in the mountains. In an urban environment, we tend to have more nutrient inputs into the reservoir and the increased algae, and all this can affect some of the beneficial uses. Beneficial uses for this reservoir is recreational use and aquatic life use. The fish right now are surviving and thrive in there. Really the harm for people is getting into cyanotoxins. If there's a skin irritant or consumption, ingestion, people can be water skiing on the reservoir, and if they get a mouthful of water when there is a cyanobacteria bloom, it can have cyanotoxins in there. This year we've been monitoring the toxins. We haven't observed any. Last year we had just one event that really had a high threshold that was caused concern for human health.
There are natural pollutants like nutrients that affect water quality. Although they are necessary for plant life to survive and grow, increased levels of natural pollutants can be harmful to the environment.
There's many different factors for water pollution. Out here in the reservoir, we're looking at nutrients, and that's generally an increased phosphorus load and nitrogen load to the reservoir. With dog poop, you got the E. coli, you got nutrients associated with it. For oil and grease, you want to dispose of it properly and keep that type of discharge out of the streams and ditches that go into the reservoir. There is certainly the stream reclamation efforts to try to minimize soil erosion in this basin. and that's a key focus for the Basin Authority. If you can eliminate that erosion of soil and the input of sediment into the reservoir or streams itself, you can minimize and reduce the amount of phosphorus entering the system. In this watershed, in the Cherry Creek Basin, it has a naturally high background condition of phosphorus that really stays consistent through the whole watershed. And that's part of the effort from the authority, wastewater treatment plants, to treat and reduce the amount of nutrients either coming from wastewater discharge or even from urban land use. Everyone wants to have nice green lawns. Using fertilizers are the key part. Using them appropriately, reading the directions, and probably staying away from a phosphorus-based fertilizer because the soil out here is high in phosphorus. Keep the fertilizer off the sidewalks and grass clippings off the sidewalk, keep it on the grass itself. Use the compost it and recycle those products. You know, all these actions have really helped maintain the existing water quality in this reservoir.
For many years, Greenwood Village has been a strong advocate for improving water quality, realizing that water quality affects the life of our neighborhoods and community.
Greenwood Village has many programs to improve water quality. City staff has a program of street sweeping. We street sweep continually and maintain all of our storm sewers. This is one of the biggest things we can do to keep pollutants from actually entering into the stormwater system. The village has programs to help prevent illicit discharge. Illicit discharges are anything that is not stormwater related entering the system. The city's goal is to help residents understand what illicit discharges are, and it also helps us figure out ways to stop them quickly and also clean them up efficiently. The village also helps by providing services to homeowners such as curbside pickup of household hazardous materials, large item, and bundles of yard waste. Construction sites can also be a big contributor of sediment and dirt into the storm sewer system. We have requirements that all construction sites have to follow to prevent mud and dirt from leaving the site. The prevention measures include silt fence, sediment ponds, and tracking control for construction vehicles. Contractors are required to install inlet protection to keep sediment from entering the storm sewers and sweeping streets when mud is tracked out of the site. New development has requirements on it as well. They are required to provide water quality treatment facilities after construction is complete. These facilities are designed to focus on phosphorus, but treat other pollutants as well. The water quality facilities are maintained by the property owner and provide water quality treatment far into the future. In an effort to improve water quality, we also work with other agencies. Those agencies include the Cherry Creek Basin Water Quality Authority, Colorado Stormwater Council, and other jurisdictions.
Most of the efforts in Greenwood Village have been focused on removing pollutants from stormwater runoff before it reaches our tributaries and streams. These efforts enable us to reach our goal to keep pollutants from traveling downstream to the Cherry Creek Reservoir.
The villages, rivers, and streams provide an important amenity to the residents. They offer recreational benefits for residents, including trails and wildlife habitat. Imagine a stream with trash, debris, a sheen of oil, and mud clogging the flowing water. Imagine that all that trash, debris, oil, and mud ending up in Cherry Creek Reservoir. All of us strive to make Greenwood Village a great place to live and play. By being mindful of our environment, we can have a positive effect on the quality of life and the reservoir.
Water quality of Cherry Creek Reservoir is periodically tested to protect the public's health, aquatic habitat, and the recreational aspects of the reservoir, especially during peak summertime use.
The issues with water quality at the reservoir is that the state has established beneficial uses such as boating, swimming, fishing, and water supply. To protect those uses, they set a standard. And in our case, that standard has to do with chlorophyll A, which is a measure of the amount of algae in the water. So our issues are to what we can do to maintain that water quality and to meet that standard. The importance is protecting beneficial uses. This is a very important recreational facility. I think it was the first state park in the state itself. Besides generating a lot of revenue, there's a lot of people who feel very passionate about the use of the reservoir and protecting its environment, not only water quality, but the entire environment.
In 1984, the Colorado Water Quality Control Commission adopted a total water quality standard for the reservoir. Since then, the Cherry Creek Basin Water Quality Authority, of which Greenwood Village is a member, has worked with other jurisdictions to sustain positive water quality levels at the reservoir.
The Basin Authority keeps track of the condition of the reservoir as well as the creeks through our monitoring program. The state standard for the reservoir is measured as a constituent in the algae, which is the chlorophyll A. That's the green stuff, if you will. That information is brought back to the laboratory where the data is calculated. Trends or conditions are noted on a monthly basis and bi-monthly basis depending upon the season. The standard is in two parts. It sets a numerical limit, and then the second part is that we have to meet that standard, which means to be at or below during the season 3 out of 5 years. So on an annual basis, we collect the data, do the calculations, and determine whether we've met that standard when we compare it to other seasonal variations. As to why we're not meeting the standard is actually part of a program that we're going on right now. It has to do with developing a more sophisticated reservoir computer model, which takes all the data that we had and then tells us what are the variables, what are the factors that are affecting that chlorophyll A. So to be honest with you, I don't have a complete answer why. The simple answer is that we likely have too many nutrients. Now we've controlled the nutrients coming from the watershed fairly well, but all the sediment on the bottom and all the dead algae is still releasing those nutrients. So we're still trying to figure out what is causing the problem, what is the root of the problem. Because of the summer activities out here, the intensity of use, particularly during a peak algal growth period, we are doing extensive monitoring. Over the last couple of years, we've increased our level of effort out here, particularly in monitoring the algal types that we're seeing. Maybe you've heard cyanobacteria is what they call them. Used to be called blue-green algae. Because of the potential harmful aspects of cyanobacteria, we're keeping very close track of that. Now, in the past, we've published information on what's happening out here, as well as notices around the park to explain the conditions. So far, to my knowledge, we've never had to shut down the park because of an algal bloom. There's been other reasons, but not because of algal blooms.
Good water quality at the Cherry Creek Reservoir helps draw 1.5 million visitors each year to this prized natural resource. To maintain the reservoir as a desired recreational designation, it takes a number of organizations and people working together.
We have a 5-year plan that we reevaluate every year. The way Greenwood Village and the rest of the basin stakeholders, which includes representatives from all of the land use agencies, as well as 7 governor appointees, each representing separate park users. All of these groups meet once a month and they discuss what our program will be, as well as prioritize and approve projects for construction. It's a very coordinated effort amongst all the stakeholders, and I think that's one of the keys to any future success, or for that matter, any past successes that we've had. In moving forward, one of the key steps we're doing right now is this reservoir water quality model. It's going to help us determine what is causing us not to meet the chlorophyll A standard. Is it external nutrient sources, or is it internal nutrient sources? Or for that matter, is it a result of other constituents? So that's very key, because that's going to help us focus on what future activities should be.
Citizens can also help reduce water pollution by being aware of pollutants that are accidentally introduced into the environment through everyday activities. Collectively, our behaviors can have a profound influence on water quality in all of our reservoirs, ponds, and streams. Maintain your vehicle so that it does not leak fluids on the ground. Properly dispose of pet waste by throwing it away in your trash. Follow label instructions for lawn fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides. Never place grass clippings or leaves in the street. Sweep up grass clippings from the street and place them back on your lawn, or use a mulching mower. Do not litter. properly dispose of compost yard waste, participate in the village's residential household waste collection program, control erosion by encouraging plant growth or ground cover on bare soil, and never put any materials into a storm drain or into a ditch. Jim, thanks a lot for taking us out.
You bet.
That's a wrap. We'll see you next time on GVTV Channel 8 for Village Showcase.